518027. Three-way calls or call waiting is not allowed and may automatically disconnect this call. Did you know the person calling you now has voicemail? You can leave a message for this party by calling 520-483426. You will need to know the inmate's 9-digit phone ID. Thank you for using GTL.
What's good with YouTube? You already know Big Flaco from a comics perspective, man. And you already know what time it is, coming directly from the county jail. I'm going to smash, dash, and slide on through with a whole lot of energy, man. So please hit the like, subscribe, comment, do all those things to help support your boy. And hit that bell notification for future fire content. Now, first and foremost, man, this is probably the video is going to follow the one Big Flaco functions under a dropout. You know, there's a couple things I want to add before I get into this video because there's a couple things. I was a little bit distracted. The CEO's opened the door a couple of times, and I want to cover some things. First off, I don't really technically label Dito really a dropout. He more was a bandito, more renegade, more of a degenerate. The term dropout nowadays is kind of used loosely. Technically, only an NF member can be a dropout, but nowadays you got kids calling teenagers who leave their gangs dropouts. And it's a term that's loosely being used, man, but the correct form of anybody being called a dropout, technically, you'd have to be part of the organization. Now, there's a couple things I want to correct that I didn't get to get in the last video before we get into this video. First off, Tito, I'm not going to lie, he was a likable character. You know, he was a master manipulator, and he gained trust with people, and that's why he was able to do the things that he was doing and you know, manipulate some of the young minds on the yard and get over on some of the old timers, you know, making it okay to use drugs in the cell, being quiet about it. Some of the other deviant behaviors that he did. He was such a likable person that you were okay covering for him. Okay? Now, some of the young bros that were recruited there and the A1s, including myself, I can't say nothing bad, I want to first and foremost say, because for many of them, the love, the unity, the education, and status came from him. So a lot of them look up to him. This is where they got their first indoctrination into the lucha, the struggle, to the cause, the movement. Not all of them were as fortunate to be around C's on the 6-yard like I was, or to be around Canals over there in the 6B at that time in the county jail. I was more than lucky to be around the people that I was around. So even though I wasn't involved as in-depth as some of these individuals in the politics, right, my schooling and my understanding of it was already up there. And my first really interactions of playing politics was on this yard as well, and I functioned under it, I have to be honest, right? Even though I knew that there was something that was kind of a red flag, you know. But, you know, I spoke about the young brothers that were on the yard, and, you know, people like DK, Spider, you know, Rascal, Sneaky. I mean, you know, we were all good individuals. We were all striving. You know, I can't say nothing bad about my time spent on this yard, even though we were there under the guidance of someone who was basically a piece of shit. You know, my relationship with them was not bad. We were still doing the things that we were supposed to do. You know, and I know that each one of them started to slowly see things the way that I was seeing them. I know DK, who was my cellie and who was second in command on the yard, was already talking about that, so may have to go. I know when me and Rascal were cellies again in the hole, and when we were talking about Dito, we were already feeling that he had to go. So everybody came to their own terms that he was a piece of shit. And even though some of us were young on the yard and still lacking the experience, you know, I will say that each one of us were right there striving. And I will say that I was as close of relationships I could have with certain individuals that you could basically call like family, you know. And I won't forget those relationships. Like I said, just because we were there functioning under the leadership of someone who was a degenerate, you know what I'm saying? It was like I had family relations with some of these guys, man. And any one of them can confirm and tell you I was always the one ready to go. You know what I mean? I had no fear. I did what I did, and I was always the one that had my hands raised. I was always the one, like, you know, wouldn't take disrespect from nobody, ready to go for the cell, fight someone or whatever. That was who I was. We're going to do it. If I got it, okay, my hand's raised. I'm ready to either do it or assist in it. That was always me. Oh, you need security? I got your back. I'm out there ready to rock. I was always the one ready to go. And I think every one of us is ready to go, to be honest with you. You know, so I want to be clear. I don't want people to think that just because there was a piece of shit that was running the yard, it was our lack of experience which allowed someone like him. And like I said, he was a likable dude, you know. But inside, in my gut, was telling me that there was something wrong with this dude. Okay, so now we're going to get into this topic, right? And this is going to be a good one. And it's about recently, I encountered another Northern in the county jail. Okay, and first and foremost, in Arizona, like I said, there's few North Daniels in between. They're scattered. A lot more of them have moved up to the Phoenix metropolitan area because there's a lot more job opportunities out there. Okay, and many of them that are there are doing their family thing. They're not involved in the illicit activities and coming to prison. Yet, as always, a few of us come out here and we start to get involved in some of the activities and the influences and get back to our old behaviors, and we end up in jail or prison. Okay, in Tucson, I've encountered maybe 6 homies out there on the streets. I ran into several Sureños from Verdugo, from Valencia, from Pochette. I kept it very respectful out there in the streets, even in here. Like I said, most of the Northerners that I noticed, though, out there in the streets, they pretty much have been out of sync. They've been away from everything for a long time, and they're not up to par as far as everything that has occurred. One I met had paroled from a level 4 yard post into all hostilities and had been around a lot of C's I knew. He was the one that was the closest up to par. The only thing that I had any difference with him is he was more favoritizing towards the state than the federal faction. You know what I'm saying? And I don't think it's any type of secret that I've always been a supporter, and I'm always going to be the strong advocate for the federal faction. It's just who I am. Now, in this county jail, it's rare to see any North Daniels, let alone anyone from Northern California. Okay, I just barely recently met Hariba, right, which is a Swahili name, who's a known BGF member that I know from California who passed away. I ran into his son in here. Okay, his dad had been locked up down for like 40-something years. Really solid BGF, well known in the system, and in fact, they're related. Their family's on the Jackson side. They're related to George Jackson. I ran into him in here, and whenever I see him, me and him talk Swahili. He's in here fighting some hot ones. Real good dude, man. He kind of functions like if we were in California. Like he's looked out for me, sent me like a sweater, shit like that, just because he knows what time it is when we're in California. But other than that, it's really rare to run into any Northerners in here. You know what I'm saying? So far currently, like on my tier alone, there's like 20 Tirigasa, right? 3 of them are Southerners, right? And then you have, besides myself, you had someone that just rolled up. That's a Northerner. And like I said, it's kind of rare to actually run into someone that's an actual Northerner. And, the way that this story goes is about last week, I was getting my hair cut, doing my thing, right? Someone comes into the pod, right? And I look at him. I'm like, okay, he got a little bit of stilo, like, it's kind of different. When I look around out here at some of the gente that are Lhasa, right? The stilo here, everybody's different. You have some with bald heads. You have some that speak Spanish, some that don't speak Spanish. You have some that have long hair. You have some that have fades. You have some that have braids. You don't have any one stilo, like the Southerners commonly all have bald heads, right? Here it's a little bit different. They kind of have that almost like Northern California flavor in a sense, but it's their own flavor. It's their own style. But it's similar. It's kind of symbolic. Everybody looks different. And I take a look around, like, wow, this would look just like a pod if I was in Santa Clara County, or this would look like a pod if I was in Alameda or Tulare County. But I've seen one, so I hit him up, and he says he's from California. And so on first instinct, okay, I'm like, okay, let me see where this dude's really from. Like, he doesn't look like he's going to be from Southern California. And the first thing he said when he comes in here is, does Rasa run Rasa here? And I'm like, yeah, pretty much. And I hit him up where he was from. He ended up being from the Bay. You know what I'm saying? And on instinct, I pulled him to the side, told him who I was, where I was from, gave him a paquete, gave him his soap, gave him his coffee, gave him everything else that I would do if this was back home. It's just naturally, if someone comes in that's from home, I'm always going to look after them. That's just who I am. And if I have a celly that comes in, I'm going to look after them the best I can. If someone comes in from Califas, I'm going to look after them. It's just a habit, because I'm not going to expect anybody else to take care of someone that comes in from where I'm from. And so on instinct, boom. And I got to talking to him, and, it was kind of an interesting conversation. You could tell that he wasn't as up to par as far as, some of the yards he said he was at raised red flags in my head. You know, he said something about Mill Creek in the '90s or in 2000s in Jamestown, and from my understanding, those places were all bad. You know what I'm saying? But here we're in Arizona today. I'm not going to sit there and worry about who's good, who's bad, or whatnot. I'm here doing my Christian thing anyways. But if someone comes in from Northern California, I'm going to look after them. I'm going to check in with them. I'm going to tap in with them. I'm going to tell them who I am. I'm not going to sit there and be fake about it. You know, this is how it is. This is what goes on, and I'm going to do my best to guide them, you know, why they're here. You know, basically, I'm a visitor. I'm on vacation here. I'm a visitor. You know, there's that slogan, come to AZ on vacation, leave on probation. And it's fucking true as fuck, man. And so, like I said, I talked to him, and I ran into other Northerners since then. I ran into another one when I was in court, you know, and you could tell he was kind of one of those ones that moved out here when he was like 14, 15 years old, and, you know, just doing his thing. And like I said, it's hard for anybody to come in here or any of these locations because you're in someone's backyard. And I think it's real important to respect that, and I always have, you know. I know that why I'm here, I'm just a visitor, and I tell everybody, you're just a visitor. You're in someone else's backyard. As long as nobody sits there and thinks they're going to disrespect you or dictate your program as far as in a disrespectful way, then, you know, just go about your business. You know, but remember that you're in someone else's backyard. And that's as clear as I've been with people, you know, that I've met from Northern California. Because you're not going to run too many people from Northern California in the system. You go to the yard, you're lucky to see a handful. You may see none. And so you're not going to see people that are going to sit there politicking. You're not going to see people doing threats over the bonds and formats or, you know, teaching people about weaponry. You don't have enough presence yet to try to establish that line. And that's one thing I kind of have to sit there and you know, if I run into anybody from North, I kind of do got to explain that. You know, be careful in the way you push. Remember that you're in someone else's backyard, and yes, there's certain things that you're always going to have to, you know, maintain within your ideologies, you know, which is being respected, you know what I'm saying, being treated equally, right? And so far, my time, you know, being here as an outsider, I've been given that type of respect and type of equality. So I don't think anybody coming in as an outsider is going to have any problem. But you do got to recognize that you're in some. This is their domain. They run shit, not you. You know what I'm saying? I've been clear about that, and I think that even the California cars, the Southerners have kind of, because they didn't realize that. Now they do. You know what I'm saying? And that's the line that I'm always going to push anytime I run into anybody from Northern California. I'm going to let them know who I am, what I'm about. But at the same time, I'm not going to sit there and misguide anybody as far as, you know, how they're going to have to push on these yards, you know. And if they want to sit there and embrace, you know, anything to help them as far as in their life, whether it be, you know, some Bible fellowship, some Christian fellowship, whatever, I'm going to open that door to them. You know, I'm not going to force feed nothing. You know, just because I pick up a Bible and I'm trying to advocate that, I found Jesus out there in the streets in 2016. I didn't find him in here, you know. I'm trying, and when I've had that relationship with him, my life was good, as everybody remembers. I was living a very pure life, and I'm trying to get back to that. But I'm not going to sit there and influence people. This is what you have to do. If you choose to do it, I got your back. If you don't choose to do it, I still got your back. And that's the type of attitude I'm always going to have. You know, being older and being away from the system, I still know how to wiggle. You know, I still know what I need to do as a convict. And it's just interesting to finally run into someone from Northern California. Now, if I was still pushing politics on a hard line, if we were in California and I was pushing that line, oh yeah, there would be a dead red flags just off this conversation I had with him. Mill Creek and Jamestown in the 2000s, and Avenal as well, those are all red flags. You know what I'm saying? But I'm older, I'm an AZ, I'm trying to do the right thing. I don't have to trip like that. With that said, it's your boy Flaco from a convict's perspective. I'm out.